proud to live and work in Minnesota, where we have the highest voter turnout in the state, and we all seek opportunities to expand that. Even with the highest voter turnout in the nation, there are still 500,000 eligible voters in Minnesota who don't regularly vote. We seek opportunities to assist those members of our community to become voters, to participate in this important act of civic engagement that strengthens communities in our state. We look forward to working with nonprofit organizations, state and local election officials, legislators from the House and Senate, Republicans and Democrats, to strengthen our election system in Minnesota in common sense ways that increase voting by individuals throughout the state and maintain our overall level of voter engagement as the leader in the nation. These proposals add complexity to the system and impose requirements that create real barriers and restrict access for Minnesotans whose voting rights are constitutionally protected, and they don't solve any problems for Minnesota or any of its voters. These voter ID proposals create real barriers for some Minnesota voters and do nothing to close the gap of the 500,000 of our state's citizens who are eligible to vote but don't yet do so. It is common sense to oppose these proposals. We call on the legislators, the governor, and the citizens of Minnesota to reject these proposals. Most importantly today, I'd like to introduce you to some Minnesotans whose voting experience would be harmed by these proposals. First of all, I'd like to tell you about R.J. Moyer, who unfortunately was ill today and not able to join us. R.J. has lived in Minnesota for over 20 years, and he's voted in nearly every election since he's lived here. He's a disabled U.S. Army veteran who recently lost his permanent housing. He lives in a transitional boarding and lodging facility with no permanent address on any identification. He has his disabled Army veteran's ID, which has enabled him, he's been able to vote in all the elections prior to this, but with the new voter ID restrictions that are being proposed, he would not be able to vote with the ID that he currently has. He's sorry to have missed this opportunity to be here today. I'd like to introduce Mary Lou Hill, and she would like to tell you her story about voting in Minnesota and how these restrictions would affect her experience. After Mary Lou Hill, you'll hear from Ben Hellerstein and Susan Henderson. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Mary Lou Hill, and I'm 94 years old, and I was born in November of 1916, 4 years before the 19th Amendment gave women the right to vote. After just 70 years of unremitting effort on the part of women and men across this country. I learned about this struggle from my mother and my aunts, who raised me in the Bryn Mawr area of Minneapolis. Soon after I reached the age of 21 in 1937, I registered to vote. It was like a rite of passage to full citizenship. I believe the right to vote is among our most important rights. I'm 94 years old, and I'm here to speak for senior citizens who literally cannot be here. There are seniors who have not been as fortunate as I have been either in their health or in the number of family members and friends who are willing to do what needs to be done to allow me to get around in my community. I do not know the intentions of the photo ID authors, but one effect of requiring a government-issued photo ID from registered voters before they are allowed to vote will be to disenfranchise thousands of senior citizens. It is easy for many legislators who have voted in favor of voter ID bills to run down to the government center to update their driver's license or to get a Minnesota ID. Senior citizens may have a number of problems with this simple activity. One, they may not drive, they may not have anyone to take them. Two, they may not be able to walk without cane or at all. Three, if they are comparatively new to the state, they have difficulty proving who they are. This is especially true for elderly women who tend to change their names once or twice since they were born. Gathering the documents of a lifetime to prove you are the person who has been voting for decades is difficult and may be expensive if you look at documents are required. You've all heard the statistics. 18% of people over the age of 65 do not have a current government issued photo ID. That percentage was estimated, as age increases. How many 94-year-old women do you suppose have a current photo ID? I do not have an ID that meets the requirements of these bills. These bills will take the vote away from thousands of elderly citizens who have been proudly casting their ballots for 50 or 60 or 70 years. I join with others in urging the legislature to reject these bills, and if that fails, in urging Governor Dayton to veto any photo ID bills that get to his desk. Thank you for your time this morning.